Okay, this story is about the Negro League and MLB recognizing their stats. I guess better late than never. Okay, let's get into it. Major League Baseball's embrace of the Negro League is now recognized in the record book, resulting in new look leaderboards fronted in several prominent places by Hall of Famer Josh Gibson. Okay, yeah, Josh Gibson was a real one. I mean, I don't think these stats are quite accurate because they just weren't going by stats back then. I believe early on that a lot of the stats weren't counted. So some say Josh Gibson numbers should be even greater than what they're estimating. And there's also another player they said that was better at hitting than Josh Gibson. What was his name? I was listening earlier, and it's this guy named Norman Turkey Stearns, and I think he played with Detroit. Yeah, they said, let me look at his numbers, or estimated numbers. Says one of the best hitters in the Negro League baseball history. He boasted a .348 lifetime batting average and 20 more home runs than Josh Gibson with 186.4. Yeah, those numbers, I guess they just doing the best they can with the numbers they had. But, yeah, a lot of people, old heads told me years ago when I was a kid that those numbers aren't accurate because, like I say early on, they really weren't counting stats. Or you got someone like Josh Gibson who's probably way ahead of Babe Ruth and all those other guys. And Satchel Paige, whose numbers for pitching probably off the charts because he pitched so long. Satchel Paige came into the league. They say he was 42 when he came into the league, and other people were saying that he was more like 50 when he came in the league and still pitching. So yeah, a lot of those numbers just not accurate. But I'm glad they're starting to add what they have in there, give these players the recognition they deserve after all these years. It took them long enough, didn't it? But okay, let me continue where I was reading this, and this is probably gonna be a real short one. You know, I'll probably do more sports stories. You guys some of you probably already know that been watching for a while that I was an avid sports fan. You know, the Steelers were my team. You know, I used to watch football, try to watch every game Sunday and whenever it was on, and not just football. I watched it all: baseball, soccer, hockey, tennis, golf. I watched it all. And when they blackballed Kaepernick, I just didn't care for any of it anymore. I used to watch ESPN all day. You know, like most of you, your channels stay on ESPN, even though it's like a loop most of the time. I just watched it, and now I don't care for any of it. I still might read something every now and then, or check out a few highlights online, but that's about it. But let me get past that and continue with the story and get this up. Okay, former Hall of Famer Josh Gibson and an overdue appreciation of many other black stars. Following the 2020 announcement that 7 different Negro leagues from 1920 to 1948 will be recognized as major leagues, MLB announced Wednesday that it has followed the recommendations of the Independent Negro League Statistical Review and Committee in absorbing the available Negro Leagues numbers into the official historical record. Like I say, that's just an estimate of what those players were doing, or just incomplete. We are proud that the official historical record now includes the players of the Negro Leagues, Commissioner Rob Manfred said. This This initiative is focused on ensuring that future generations of fans have access to the statistics and milestones of all those who made the Negro Leagues possible. The accomplishments on the field would be a gateway to broader learning about this triumph in American history and the path that led to Jackie Robinson's 1947 Dodger debut. Their accomplishments on the field would be a gateway to broader learning about this triumph in American history. I wouldn't call it a triumph. I do believe that perhaps those players should have stayed where they were, because the reason they started including or wanted to include black players is the popularity of the Negro Leagues was growing. At that time, I've read an article a couple years ago where they were saying how the East-West game, which was the Negro League's All-Star game, was outselling the MLB All-Star game. You know, people wanted to see the Negro League players because they were so exciting. The things they were doing, they were really giving people a good show. And the MLB, specifically Branch Rickey, saw that, and he equated it to dollar signs. And that's exactly what happened. They saw the money they can make on it because they had their own league, their own stadiums, their own, everything that come with it. The vendors that worked the Negro Leagues game, I mean, they were really making a good profit. Okay, let me get back into this article. Gibson, the legendary catcher and power hitter who played for the Homestead Grays and Pittsburgh Crawfords, is now MLB's all-time leader in batting average and slugging percentage and OPS, and holds the all-time single-season records in each of these categories. Gibson is one of the more than 2,300 Negro League players, including 3 living players who played in the 1920-1948 era in Bill Greason, Ron Teasley, and Hall of Famer Willie Mays. Included in a newly integrated database at MLB.com that combines the Negro League's numbers with the existing data from the American League, National League, and other major league from history. The Negro Leagues were a product of a segregated America created to give opportunity where opportunity did not exist, said Negro Leagues experts and historian Larry Lester. As Bart Giamatti, former commissioner of baseball, once said, "We must never lose sight of our history insofar as it is ugly, never to repeat it, and insofar as it is glorious, to cherish it." And we ain't gonna forget it. John Thorne, official MLB historian and chairman of the Negro League's Statistical Review Committee, said the new database can be understood by realizing that the stats are shorthand for stories and that the story of the Negro Leagues is worthy of our study. To help fans with that study, here are answers to questions you might have about this historic and unprecedented development. What were the Negro Leagues? Okay, we know what the Negro Leagues was. Prior to the debut of Jackie Robinson with the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947, the American and National Leagues were like so much of society, segregated, unable to pursue playing careers in those leagues. Black players formed leagues of their own, beginning in 1920 with the 8-team Negro League National League, founded by Andrew Rube Foster. Over the next 30 years, a variety of Negro Leagues came and went. The Negro World Series was held in 1924 to 1927, featuring the champions of the Negro National League against the champions of the Eastern Colored League. And again from 1942 to 1948, featuring the champions of the second iteration of the Negro National League against the champions of the Negro American League. Another player who was made his way onto the updated list of power hitters is fellow baseball Hall of Famer Norman Turkey Stearns, one of the best hitters in MLB history. Okay, I read that already. Turkey Stearns. They said Norman Turkey Stearns was probably had more hits and better average than Josh Gibson. Like I said, a lot of this, the numbers are incomplete. So there's no way of really telling what the numbers these players are putting up. You got to remember that when the league first started, I don't think they were really doing stats. But I guess that's a good thing that you finally get these players at least partial of their numbers in the record books. So they recognizing what they did, but better late than never. All right, I'm going to leave this here. You haters can go ahead and leave your comments, and I'll catch you on the next one.